entitled Women of Today in their search for attention and validation find themselves on Highway 304, the cheater's highway exit 6, third time is the charm. I have known for several weeks that my wife of 21 years is cheating with a man from her job. His name is Marcus Johnson. He is not in her department or her superior, but he is a predator that loves to seduce married women. My investigator presented me with a trail of Marcus's conquests from the last few job positions that he held in cities near ours. Photographs show that he is a gym rat with huge biceps and probably washboard abs. You've got to look good to seduce those married women. I'm a 40-something concrete contractor with a slight dad bod, but I am strong as F from stacking blocks and working concrete. Pretty average in height, about 5'10" and 170,180. Grew up lower class in a working class family, so I had to learn to protect myself and my younger brothers. I never want to give the illusion that I whopped every guy that I fought, but when I lost a fight the other guy knew he had been in a fight. I wasn't born yesterday, and lived all day for nothing, so I started picking up the unusual activities from the wife. Different clothes for work, surprisingly staying later for work which she had never done before. Different smells on her. I noticed how she spoke about a couple guys at work, younger guys. Which younger actors on TV that she liked. There became a type. Young, fit and handsome, and not dad bod, obviously. When she stopped talking about Marcus, I figured that she was hooking up with him. What got my interest was when she stated that women want to try a 10-incher. I looked at her. Shocked that she said it. I replied, do they? Really? She came back with that's what the girls in her office say. Is this an issue for us? I asked. Is this something that you want to do? She didn't reply. I continued. Is there someone that showed you his 10-incher, someone that I should be concerned about? No, of course, not. She quickly responded. One of my brothers works for me, so I had him follow her for the last 2 months. In the first week, he watched her work group as they drank after work at Smokey's bar downtown while our teenage daughters sat at home waiting for one of us to come home and prepare dinner. It didn't take 2 evenings before he saw her and Johnson were leaving together and walking to the parking lot where the cars were parked. Nothing inappropriate that week, but he could tell that she was emotionally invested at this point. Being red-pilled, I began to plan. After consulting with our attorney, I easily got my wife to sign off on placing my business in a trust for the girls. In case something happened to us, there wouldn't be any inheritance issues from the government. Now, I was only the manager of the business. An employee of the business, I installed my brother as assistant manager, which he really was. He knew what I had planned for Marcus Johnson, and the business had to be protected. I hired a real PI to follow and record them. He confirmed after 3 weeks that they were going to Johnson's apartment instead of Smokey's, each afternoon. At this time, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Once confirmed, it was time for me to act. My brother picked up the girls, and took them out for dinner. I didn't want them to be home if this ended badly for me. I drew a breath before knocking on Johnson's apartment door. Number 304 faced me on the door. My PI stood beside me, camera ready. He confirmed that my wife was inside, and could not have left without being seen. I put on my gloves before I pounded on the door. No answer. I pressed the doorbell over and over. I heard, "Who is it?" from inside the apartment. It's FedEx with a parcel that needs a signature. I smiled. Hold on. I heard noises that indicated that he had left the door to get something. Probably to cover his nudity, was my best guess. The door opened slowly, and I watched his face slowly appear in the cracked door. At 4 inches open, I kicked the door open to his shocked face. He recognized me. I watched his face change as the camera flashed. He was wearing a men's robe that was loosely tied. He stumbled, and I pressed my attack. My right fist screamed with pain as I crushed his nose. He fell backward onto the floor, and his robe gaped open. The Johnson was swinging as he went down. I stomped on little Johnson as he cried out for help. He curled up as I kicked and stomped on his upper body. I heard my wife cry out from somewhere in the apartment, which meant that my PI had gotten her picture. She chased the PI out of the bedroom carrying a blanket. When she came out of the hall, she screamed at me. "Don't, please don't. He doesn't mean anything." I bent over him, and took his face into my gloved hand. He fought against me, so I open hand slapped him hard. The leather clapped. I made him look at me. "Mr. Johnson, I understand that you like married women, so I wanted to extend a welcoming hand from the husbands of our fair city. There are plenty of single women for you to play with, so it would be in your best interests to leave the married ones alone. I looked at my wife holding a blanket in front of herself. Now that one, you can have because I'm finished with her. I squeezed his face. If the police come after me, then you will see me again. Do you understand? He didn't say anything. He stared at me. If looks could kill. The next day on a job site, the police arrested me. I sat in the jail all weekend, before my attorney got me out on Tuesday. My brother said that my wife was home with the girls. She had not been seen with Johnson so far this week. The hospital had released him, but the PI said that he was staying at an extended stay motel because he was afraid of going back to his apartment. That afternoon, I went to the motel and pulled the fire alarm. All of the guests filed out of the rooms and stood in the parking lot waiting for the fire department to arrive. I came up behind Johnson and grabbed his ass. He jumped and looked at me. I think he shit his pants when he saw me. I made the "I'm watching you" signal with my right hand, then walked away. I paid off the motel clerk to turn off the recorder for the motel so I could do my thing. So when the cops and fire department needed the video, there wasn't any video. Of course the cops showed up at the job site where everyone boasted that I had been there all afternoon and evening because we had to finish this job before the weather changed. I was ruled out. I had an alibi. For a Casanova, this Johnson guy was quick to blame me for the false alarm. A week later, he was feeling braver and returned back to his apartment. 2 nights later, my wife came over to see him. How dumb can you be? Someone used a paint gun to paint the security cameras facing the parking lot, so when he left to get them food, he somehow fell in the parking lot and hit his head on the pavement. He screamed at me to get away as I knelt over him. Dude, you are too stupid to live. My knee on his chest, I reached toward his throat. With tears, he said, "Man, it's her. It's her fault. She won't stay away." Yeah, I went after her. Cute little redhead. She heard the stories about me from the other women at work, and when I started flirting with her. He paused. Don't hit me, but she didn't waste any time. She let me know that she wanted to see it. She never said she wanted me, but she wanted it. He paused. She's fascinated by it. I took my hand away from his throat. I didn't believe him. Why should I? He was transferring the blame to my wife to save his own life. If the cops come to see me again, then I will solve this problem for good. Smiling, do you understand? He nodded, and I drifted away into the darkness. The next day, I'm standing ankle deep in concrete as we're building a driveway when the police car drove up. I waved to the officers as I stepped back onto the dry gravel to stomp the fill off my rubber boots. The officers stepped up. One of the officers, I recognized from before, but I hadn't seen his partner before. I spoke. Let me guess, my wife's boyfriend got hurt again and she blames me for it. The officer stared at me. You understand that he only screws married women, and if I was a betting man, she is not the only woman that he's seeing. The officers looked at me. I reached into my back pocket, and I gave him a sweaty note card with the names of the other married women from her office. Honestly, I'm not sure how many Johnson had been with, but I'm sure some were guilty. Before you arrest me, you need to canvass these husbands. This is a list of women that Johnson is actively running around with. Maybe one of those husbands is guilty, my brother stepped up and stated. I don't know when this guy was assaulted, but my brother is staying with me, and we were home all evening. The officers talked silently for a couple of minutes. Thank you for this new information. We'll investigate it. Please do us a favor, and stay away from Mr. Johnson. I held my hands up. Officers, I promise you that I will not lay a hand on him ever again. 2 weeks later, while I was laughing loudly at Sonor Burrito restaurant surrounded by family and friends to celebrate my birthday, it seems that a troubled youth walked into a restroom behind Johnson. While Johnson stood at the urinal, the youth assaulted and robbed him. I guess that Johnson ran his mouth because the youth sliced him with a sharp knife. He was found with his pants around his ankles with cuts to his face, chest, arms, thighs and his little Johnson unattached beside him on the floor. Of course, I was arrested again. Sonor Burrito is in a bad neighborhood, so it has a lot of security cameras, inside the building and outside. I was released after the police reviewed the video. A few days later, I heard that another husband was the new suspect. I'm sure that little Johnson was reattached to Big Johnson. I wonder how he felt when he realized some was missing. What happens to my wife is another story. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.